Hello, and welcome to A Brush with the Past. This episode explores how the inclusion of weather into artworks helps evoke emotions and establish a mood. Before we delve into weather in art, let's take a quick step back and explore how weather observations and recordings began. There is evidence that even in prehistoric times, man was curious about the natural world around him. Here we see an early charcoal drawing found in an American cave of what is thought by some to represent the cosmos. Our earliest documented fascination with weather can be traced back to the deities of ancient cultures. From the Britons to the Romans, Greeks, and Vikings, most mythologies incorporated weather gods. Ancient societies consulted these idols and carvings, not for aesthetic appreciation, but for practical purposes. They sought divine guidance on agricultural matters like planting and harvesting, for predictions of rain or drought, and prayed for safe passage during fishing voyages. Even in the 16th century, Leonardo da Vinci displayed a keen interest in meteorological phenomena, particularly the structure and dynamics of clouds. This scientific curiosity manifested in his artistic pursuits, as evidenced by the 16 detailed drawings he produced depicting cloud formations. The meticulous detail of this drawing by da Vinci, of a weather front traveling across a valley, suggests it was likely either created on-site or meticulously recreated back in his studio from a field sketch. Imagine Europe in the 1400s, a time when religion was super important to everyone. Because many people couldn't read, churches started using giant frescoes to tell stories and inspire folks in a way that spoke to their hearts, not just their heads. The addition of rolling clouds added to the drama and the mystery. Biblical scenes continued to lend themselves to over-dramatization, and stormy weather seems to depict the wrath of God like no other. In this painting by Turner, we see an image from the Old Testament depicting the deluge associated with Noah's Ark. The canvas is dominated by a swirling vortex of yellows, oranges, and browns. These fiery hues evoke the relentless downpour and the impending doom. Landmarks and figures are barely discernible, swallowed by the relentless storm. A single, pale disk in the center, perhaps the sun or moon, offers a glimmer of hope, but its feeble light seems powerless against the overwhelming force of nature. The weather in Danby's The Deluge dominates the image. Torrential rain falls from the sky, while fierce waves pound against the people clinging to the rocks. Jericald's Deluge focuses on the aftermath. Dark clouds linger, but the real drama is the churning sea and desperate figures clinging to wreckage. One of the first to truly use the weather as the main character in his storytelling was Peter Bruegel. His Hunters in the Snow is seen as a response to one of Europe's worst winters in 1565. Bruegel depicts the harsh winter weather by the way the weary hunters are hunched over, trudging through the landscape. We imagine their legs straining with each step as they sink deep into the snow. This laborious walk, with figures bent low and movements restricted, perfectly conveys the weight and resistance of the heavy snowfall. The 17th century Dutch Golden Age witnessed a shift in landscape painting. While snowy scenes and frozen rivers remained popular, a new focus emerged, a more naturalistic portrayal of weather. This wasn't a complete departure from the past, but rather a growing interest in capturing the realistic effects of clouds, skies, and sunlight. Dutch artists played a significant role in this evolution, bringing a fresh perspective to how weather interacted with their landscapes. Gone are the days of weather as mere background. Artists like Goya harnessed its power to tell a story. In this piece, the artist uses the scene's elements to depict hardship. Bent trees mirror the hunched figures of three peasants trudging home, empty-handed and likely cold and hungry. Their posture speaks volumes. Contrasting them are two well-dressed figures, presumably servants, carrying a hefty pig. Even the peasant's dog, thin and withdrawn, seems to sense the impending clash between these two social classes. Goya masterfully uses the weather, the wind whipping the trees, the figures battling the elements, to paint a narrative of social disparity and misfortune. In Cook's A North Sea Breeze on the Dutch coast, the weather isn't just a backdrop, it's a full-fledged character driving the entire scene. We see the wind's power in the way it has torn the sails from their masts. The waves churn and crest, whipped into a frenzy by the breeze. This dynamic interplay between wind, water, and sky creates a palpable sense of energy. Cook uses the weather not just to depict a scene, but to convey the raw energy and untamed spirit of the Dutch coast. Turner's Snowstorm, Steamboat Off a Harbour's Mouth isn't a painting about a boat in a storm, it's a portrait of the storm itself. The weather takes center stage, a raging, chaotic entity that dwarfs and threatens the lone steamship. In a whirlwind of paint, Turner's brushstrokes become an extension of the storm's fury. The swirling sea, the disintegrating waves, the snow whipping into a frenzy, all are rendered with a loose, almost abstract technique, mimicking the raw power of nature. Flashes of light from the signal flares pierce the gloom momentarily, but only serve to highlight the vastness of the storm. Turner's Snowstorm isn't just a depiction of a harsh winter scene, it's a powerful allegory for the awesome, and sometimes terrifying, power of nature. The weather in Caillebotte's Rue de Paris is a break away from the violent stormy weather we have been seeing so far. We don't see rain directly falling, but its effects are everywhere. This is a clever depiction of weather, a gentle persistent dampening presence. Umbrellas dominate the foreground, their shiny surfaces reflecting the grey light. The cobblestones gleam with wetness, and the figures huddle under their protective domes, seeming isolated even amidst the city bustle. The overall impression is one of a chilly, damp Parisian day. Monet, too, was inspired by the ever-changing weather. Here we see one of his most famous winter scenes. The overall palette leans towards cool blues and browns, suggesting a winter day with a low diffused light. Juxtaposed against the muted tones are contrasting dabs of white and blue that hint at frost or light snow on the ground. Monet doesn't depict a dramatic snowstorm, but rather a quiet, cold winter scene where the subtle interplay of light and texture tells the story of the weather. Here, in this image, Lowry depicts the northern British weather in a slightly humorous way. His muted color palette, dominated by browns and grays, evokes a sense of a cold, damp day. The figures waiting at the bus stop all wear heavy coats and hats or scarves, suggesting they are seeking shelter from the chill. The overall impression is one of an unwelcoming and potentially uncomfortable wait. The weather becomes a part of the isolation and monotony that Lowry portrays in his work. Finally, to end, here is an image I have created myself, using AI. We have seen just a few examples of how weather can be a powerful tool in an artist's repertoire. By manipulating light, color, and brushstrokes, artists can evoke a range of emotions and establish a mood that is central to the painting's narrative. I hope you have enjoyed my video. Thanks for watching.